for the show. Come
Are
on.
we live, baby?
We're live.
Let's go.
Started it, you could have made a deal.
Did not have a seat at the table. But the president was asked specifically about that just a short time ago at his Mar-a-Lago resort. He fired back at Zelensky, suggesting that he could have stopped the war 3 years ago.
I think I have the power to end this war, and I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
You could have made a deal. You should have never started, of course. Well, that is not just a misstatement of history, of course.
With that intro right there, hello, everybody. We are here we got some hot topics to talk about. Old number 47, 45, 47, up to his old tricks of lying. And that was very disturbing last night. Very disturbing when I came across that video clip. So how you doing today, Tanisha?
I'm good. How are you, Jay?
I am good. I'm good.
Good.
So what you think about old 47 with that malicious lie right there?
I mean, it's just more lies. It really is more lies. It's like, how many more lies can you come up with?
Trump, we talking about Trump.
I know, right? Who specializes in lying.
His name is Donald L. Trump.
That's the one thing. I mean, he won't release his GPA when he went to didn't he go to Wharton School of Business?
Yeah, the School of Business where rich white kids could actually pay to get in and not have to go through any types of hoops and ladders that our black asses would go through.
Exactly.
And they're supposed to be one of the top business schools in the country outside of Ivy League schools. I'm sure I will hope that he's not presented as an esteemed alumni.
Well, that's the thing. He won't let them release his GPA, right? So yes. We don't know what kind of student he was, but I'm thinking he was like a C.
I think he was Van Wilder. That's what I think is a black ass. I'm sorry, not black ass, white ass.
I mean, he's mediocre. He's mediocre in everything he does, and probably always has been.
No clue.
His daddy's money. His daddy's money, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even when you think about his inability to come up with a bond to pay the state of New York, for his law, for that fraud case that he was convicted of, that just tells you that somewhere there's a lot of lies in his financial status.
Oh, absolutely. He's never released his tax returns, right? Never.
Constantly. That's why he's trying to get rid of the IRS. These are people that can actually go after Trump legally, and they probably should have. They can go after him legally without any recourse after his presidency.
Yeah, but it's one of those things of where why didn't they have 4 years to do that? Why didn't anybody? I mean, listen, with the exception of Letitia James, right? Because I mean, she went after, and then who is the Fonnie Willis? What's her name?
Yeah, Fonnie Willis. Yes,
Fonnie Willis. I have to give them credit, but everybody else, and maybe a few other ones, maybe I'm missing a few. But literally, folks had 4 years to get this. 4 years to do whatever they needed to do.
Country from this.
Yep, and they tried. These two people tried, and as we see,
only one succeeded. One succeeded, but the judge held up the damn conviction.
Exactly. So what does that tell us?
That tells us that everybody was in cahoots.
Everybody was in on it.
Is in on it. Only people that really tried was the black women.
Yeah.
And then they found out, Fonnie Willis and Fonnie, what's her name?
Who?
Fonnie Willis and Nathan Wade.
Yes.
Found out that them two was fooling around. To me personally, what she does on her personal time is her business, and what he does on his personal time is his business. So them fooling around with each other has no recourse to the case. But they made it seem like, Trump is this big Christian value guy who paid a porn star to shut up, right?
Right.
And she said that was like the worst 15 minutes of her life, if that. So I'm just sitting here he had sex with her while he was married when Melania was pregnant. It's just, this is the guy that they're revering as he's a stand-up guy, but at the end of the day, this dude, his name is Donald Lion Ass Trump.
I mean, it's just like his boy Elon. I call him Musty. I know his last name is Musk, but I call him Musty. So we know that Musty is from a long line of apartheid Nazi people. His mama, his parents and grandparents were in the Nazi party, right?
Yeah.
And we know that these folks who they try to say stand for family values. And it's crazy because it's like the CEO takeover of the U.S. government. You got Musty in office. He just had another kid. Like, I think it's his 13 or 14. Now, 13. I know kids are innocent, so I don't mess with the babies. But we can't drag their parents, okay? Yes. So it's like he's held up as this whatever. And it's like, dude, you got how many baby mamas? Like, what's really going on here?
How I look at Elon Musk is apartheid Musk. To me, that's exactly who he is. I gave him the benefit of the doubt early on, learning about who he was, and the whole Tesla brand when that was brought to the electric cars, because gas prices were so high, and I was like, damn, this guy's he's a genius for that. And people who know Nikola Tesla, who the company is actually named after, was an actual mad scientist. But he wasn't mad. The things that he done with electricity was amazing. He's the reason why we got AC and DC conversions, right? Okay. So, long story short, I was just like, well, that's cool. Then when I found out he was from South Africa, I kind of got a little bit skeptical because I'm like, okay, Steve Nash is from South Africa. Charlize Theron is from South Africa, but Steve Nash was raised in Canada, and I think I don't know where Charlene was raised. You gotta look at her biography, but yeah. When you look at Steve Nash and who he is as a person, you're like, okay, he's different. Because there was some South Africans who didn't believe in apartheid, so maybe his family left because of that situation. Like, nah, we got to get up out of here because this is too crazy. Now, when you look at Elon Musk, it's like, dude, you're a child of apartheid.
He got it from his daddy and his mama and everybody.
And Trump, too, because Trump's father was part of KKK.
Exactly. So these folks have a long history of being in supremacist groups, right?
Yeah, but the funny part is Trump's grandfather's a damn immigrant.
Well, but they all think, a lot of them think, though, they have this belief that everyone else is an immigrant except for them, right? I mean, we Native Americans, this is their land, right?
Yes, it is.
The U.S. is their land. I mean, I'm outside of the U.S. for right now, but this is their land. And we know that we were brought there forcefully, right, in mass, even though we were in the U.S. and North America well before Columbus and the Spanish explorers or Portuguese or whatever in the 1400s, right? We were already
13,
been there,
12,
did that.
13, all that. We was with them already.
But they always forget that this country, right, the U.S., it literally started because a bunch of criminals from the UK, people they didn't want, came over to the U.S.
Escaping what we was taught in school, there was escaping religious purgatory.
Exactly, and persecution, and they wanted religious freedom. Yeah. But all they did was basically went from their country to the new colonies or whatever you want to call it.
Colonies, yeah.
And all they did was they just tortured us. That was all they did.
Me personally, when I look at that story right there, I stopped celebrating Thanksgiving because of that.
Okay.
I don't even put the religious value to Thanksgiving. Like, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving because of what was done to the Native Americans. And then they try to say, well, we did it under the roof of God. I don't believe that. Anybody that views people as slaves did nothing under the roof of God. So let's move forward to the next topic that we got at hand.
Okay, what we got?
What we got is
without warning, leaving supervisors off guard and potentially hundreds of people without a job. Tabitha Panis is one of the many USDA employees suddenly informed their job was terminated last week, and she joins me now. Tabitha, I'm sorry we're speaking under these circumstances. I know emotionally how hard something like this can be, the stock you have to take. How has this process gone for you, and what are your biggest concerns now about taking care of yourself and your family?
Hi, thank you so much, Lindsay, for having me. I really appreciate your kind words. It is a very challenging time, I mean, it's kind of been up and coming that our positions are not secure, but considering that, the Department of Agriculture is so important to our food security and our farmers in the Midwest, I was surprised to be terminated from this position. So obviously I'm seeking different employment going forward, but, still just kind of taking my time to process everything.
I want to ask you about.
All right, so what you think about that one right there?
I mean, I think it's crazy because I'm just going on like recent history, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the last 40, 50, 60 years or whatever. It used to be that having a government job, having a federal government job was thought to be a good thing, right? You were going to have stability.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to have a very nice retirement,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You were going to be paid less in the private sector, but there was trade-offs with that.
Remember,
you didn't have to deal with layoffs.
Yes.
You didn't have to deal with getting fired for the most part.
Remember, we went over that yesterday when
we did.
When we was discussing about the trade-offs between the salaries and how your salary was, a little bit better, because like I stated yesterday, when I worked for the federal government, I was a GS4 and I was making, this was 2005, so I was making 25 to 27 a year. Overtime helped increase to increase it to 27 for that 1 year, and that was the most I got paid at the time by a civilian job, even though it's federal.
Now, did you get your military benefits or no?
Yeah, I got my military benefits while I was working there. Still, yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so they don't take it away because you're working, federally. You still attain your benefits. And the benefits wasn't enough to pay my daggone bills. It was enough to put extra cash in my pocket each month at that time. So, long story short, yeah, it's a good trade-off, but the consistency is there, and you can move up.
That's a good thing, right? That's a great thing. So now you've got all these people who are suddenly out of work, and like you said, we talked about this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe that we're heading straight to a recession. Like, we've been talking about recession for a number of years, but I feel like now we're heading straight to it. Like, all these people who are out of work, what does that mean for the debt levels? What does that mean for people who are paying their mortgages or foreclosures? What does that mean?
That means a lot of us are going to lose our livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have, a lot of us going to lose our livelihood. And at the end of the day, we got to take accountability for that. When I say we, I did what I was supposed to do. Okay? You did what you're supposed to do. We voted the way that would have made sense. And when I say we, as Americans as a whole, you got to take accountability for your actions, even if you voted. Because think about it. If we didn't vote in the local elections, that led to these regional elections, and that led to these damn national elections. And what I mean by regional, I'm talking about like your states. You know what I'm saying? Your local is your county and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That affects everything as well. Because these Republican governors, they hold the weight to say, hey, like Brian Kemp, for instance. Donald Trump talked all this trash about this man. All this trash.
Dogged him out.
Dogged him. I still support Trump. So all of Brian Kemp's followers is going to support Trump, right? All these millions of Georgians who voted for Kemp is supporting Trump. And then Kemp went to Trump saying, hey, can I get extension on this natural disaster relief fund or FEMA fund, right? And Trump said, nope.
But to me, it's like, okay, we know that we did all that we were supposed to do. Black people, like what, 92% of Black women, and I don't know what the number is, right? I've heard everything from 87 to 70 something percent.
Yes, from 77 to 87%. Let's just say 80% of Black men did
what they were supposed to do. We did what we were supposed to do. The thing is, it's like when you look at the other side, like 47%, right? I think of white women voted for Trump, and I think it's 47%. I might be wrong. I need to check that. But
it was
definitely
actually higher than that. It was
is it higher than that?
Yeah, it was like 50 to 60 of them.
50 to 60, and then like for the men, it's like what 60 to 70 in that range.
Yeah,
voted for Trump. Yes. So it's like we Black people did what we followed the memo. We understood the assignment.
Correct.
But now we have to deal with the fallout, which is going to be worse on us.
But but remember, Black people have been resilient over the years. Okay. We have been resilient. So this situation is not the same where we're like, oh man, we're going to be so messed up, because at the end of the day, we're not going to allow or disallow anybody to not allow us to build our own financial resources again. That's not going to happen. This ain't 18, 19, early 1900s Black people. We have Black people who now say, okay, you tear something down, I'm gonna put a bullet in your ass, because the times are so different that we're more willing to fight and keep what we have and not let it be destroyed again. Because
my question though, do we really have it? Because when you look at it, right, when you look at 2008, the financial crisis of 2008, we lost our homes and our home values then.
Because we were screwed the most.
And then you look at what's going on now with the levels of unemployment. And when you look at now, kids who are in their 20s and even like the millennials a little slightly older, they're not buying homes because they can't afford it.
And plus their lazy asses don't want to go and buy it anyway.
I don't think that they're lazy. I think that every generation, they said that about us too. They said that about Generation X. They said that about every generation, that, oh, they're lazy. I just feel like now for most millennials and what is the generation who are in their 20s? Is it Y, or I can't remember which one. But the folks who are in their 20s, the
TikTok generation.
Yeah, but when you think about it, you really can't compare us buying homes to them buying homes.
Because when we were growing up, we were detrimented by the crack epidemic. Okay? That messed us up. So for us to get away from those situations, those of us who went to school did what we were supposed to do, right? Because we were taught education was the best leverage to get out of your situation.
Right.
The first thing was home ownership. We can choose where we want to live at, right? And we're not going to live in the hood unless that's what our finances says. And then that's the whole starter home thing. We were preyed upon when it came to that starter home mentality.
We were.
Because that ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. And I remember when I was looking for a home, I just got the VA, right before I got the VA. Damn, I'm just telling you what agency I worked at. Virginia.
Listen, you got a certain credits, right?
Yes.
You got certain benefits.
Yes, certain benefits. So I was like, okay, let me look into this. And the first thing that was presented to me from a finance company was the ARM for me to get in there. So the mortgage would have started at like, let's say $450 to $500, and then it would have jumped up like every year or every 2 years. And to increase, so at some point I would have been paying somewhere between $1,700 and $1,800 within 5 years,
which is crazy.
But
they always push us toward those loans though,
because my credit score wasn't very appeasable. So they gave us. Well, now I'm going back to Black people in general, because sometimes some of us don't keep a great high credit score, which is important. We're not taught the importance of credit until later in life, why you have to maintain over 650. And I say that because, it's hard to be at 700 or 800. It's very hard. People tell you, well, just pay this off at time, pay this off. If you got to choose between this bill that doesn't affect your utilities or food, you're going to choose food.
You're going to choose food. But those are those racial disparities which they prey on, though, because it's proven that these major lenders, what they do is they go out here when they find out that you are a person, a Black person, person of color, they're jacking your rates up. These companies have paid billions of dollars because they've redlined. They've redlined and they have predatory lending. So the thing is, I would imagine you or me, let's say having a 650 credit score. Remember, they have a 400-year head start. Okay. So if we do have a lower credit score, there are some historical reasons behind that. Secondly, if you take myself, for example, and let's say Karen over here, we have the same credit score. We have the same, credit score, same type of assets. I guarantee you they are not putting her in an arm, but they're going to try to put me into one.
Yes.
And I've had it happen too. I had it happen during the height of 2006. SunTrust. What are they known as now? Now they are called Truist. Right. So I went through a major bank, buying a new home in Atlanta, new construction. And my grandfather always taught me, he was like, whatever you're buying anything and it's paperwork involved, you read everything, top to bottom, front to back. I'm going through the mortgage disclosures and I know the price they told me. And I see it on the one side of the paper. It was the mortgage amortization schedule. Tells you for 30 years what your principal plus interest payment will be, right?
Right.
I look on the other page, and I notice in year 10, it jumped up. And I'm like, wait a minute, we have a fixed mortgage. Come to find out, no, it wasn't fixed. They told us it was fixed, but moved us into an ARM. So it's almost like we're always preyed upon.
Because they figure Black people don't read. And those of us who are taught, read everything that's put in front of you. It's like me personally, I read everything that's put in front of me. It might not look like I don't, but I do. Trust me. And when I come back and I sit down and I have questions, they're not prepared for that because I actually took the time to read it and I got the gist of what is put in front of me. So yes, we do get screwed over, but Black people, like I said, we're resilient. We'll be fine. Okay. We'll be fine. Because a lot of us is going to go to the blue states and grow some marijuana and sell it legally.
I mean, but even with that though, even with that, you think about all the dudes. Come on, I know you knew a couple. I know some that you cannot sell anything. You cannot sell the devil's lettuce. Okay, as I like to call it. You can't sell that if you got any kind of drug conviction on your record.
I don't, so I'm gonna be up in that motherfucker. So
I'm just saying,
I'm gonna be selling my medicine.
It's more barriers. You think of the dudes that went to jail for weed, right?
Yes.
All the dudes that went to jail. I mean, they sold some other stuff too, but I'm just saying. You think about that, and you think about who do you see as the face of the marijuana industry? It isn't anyone who looks like me or you.
No.
Despite us having been convicted of those crimes.
And a lot of them were released and pardoned by President Joe Biden, one of the biggest mass pardons in history. And a lot of them was drug, like marijuana possession. So a lot of those guys cannot sit here and talk trash. So with those pardons, those felonies are dropped. Unfortunately, they lost time. So they are restored to vote again. So they can't sit here and talk trash about what Biden didn't do or why Biden did this. And you know what? He admitted his mistakes. Leave Joe alone. He admitted his mistakes. But they're not blaming the prosecutors who brought these crimes from that crime bill that President Clinton introduced and Biden authored. He wasn't thinking about Black people. In my honesty, I believe he was not thinking about Black people because we know when you grew up in the 80s and 90s, Cass was out of jail 2-3 years for murders. And they go back in for a whole nother murder. Or a whole nother dastardly crime.
We wanted some justice. I mean, there were a lot of Black people then, right?
Yes.
They wanted our communities were being tore up. Okay, they were being tore up, and we knew it, and we thought, maybe mistakenly, we thought, well, can we get some justice,
And
right?
that was the 3 strikes.
And we were behind it initially until we found out
they were using it against us more.
Exactly.
So you can't blame Biden for what your local DA decides to do to your father or your uncle. That's not Biden's fault. You know, I look at it like that. There's no Stockholm syndrome here. I look at the realness of it. If the person is committing a crime, then they have to do the time. But at the same time, if the DA and all these other people is sitting here just targeting us, they have to do some time. Because at the end, you can't blame somebody for trying to make America safer when a lot of foreign entities was coming in and doing some crimes. A lot of American citizens was coming in doing a ton of crimes.
What about old boy? You know who I'm talking about? Disgraced Colonel Oliver North, right?
Oliver North with the Contra, yes.
And think about how what that did and how that flooded. You know, that was just about drugs and weapons.
Tanisha, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm too young to understand. I'm old enough now to understand, but I was too young at the time when that happened to understand what happened.
Okay, got you.
So I can't really speak on it in that time. But go ahead. I would love for you to break that down.
I mean, no, I was kind of young myself as well, but from what I understand, and it's like I have to do a quick crash course myself. But I mean, basically, this was you had Oliver North under the guise of the U.S. military went into these, Central and South American countries, right? And using CIA and were a part of the drug trade, and they traded weapons for different things, working with
cartels.
The cartels. So it's like you got that. We know the Alphabet Agency, it starts with a C. We know they flooded our communities with drugs.
Them and the FBI.
And, right. We know the drugs. How were they coming? They were coming through Miami in the 80s, right? So
Miami, Mexico.
Exactly. But it was a pipeline. Right, it was a pipeline, but with the thing with Oliver North, the thing that gets it is because he was the highest ranking colonel, right? Wasn't he the highest ranking in the military? No, he was general. Wasn't he a general?
No, he was a colonel.
Was he a colonel?
Yes.
I mean, so basically,
but he was probably the highest ranking within that region.
Okay.
Of what he was over, he's probably so he was probably a general select, and as a colonel, you operate at a high level. So let's not go into the military. Let's not go into that part. But yeah, he was probably the highest ranking official in the area.
I mean, basically, the U.S. were drugs and weapons dealers, right?
Yes.
The same thing that you or I were to do, we would be arrested.
Oh,
right?
we'd be sent in the jail cell for 20 plus years.
Exactly. He never really did he really face any kind
He got court-martialed, probably lost some benefits, got reduction in pay. So instead of retiring as a colonel or the general select that he probably was reduction in pay to major or some shit, and that's what he gets, a major retirement or something like that. Now he's an analyst at Fox, obviously. So
I think I think he's dead. I think he might not be dead.
No, he's not dead. He's an analyst. Dead? No, he's an analyst. He's over here talking his little brain off.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought the man had met his maker. Okay.
He hasn't met his maker. He met his dollars.
Yeah.
And he's talking like he's like the ultimate patriot. Obviously there's somebody at the top that made you do it, Ronald Reagan. But at the same time, that was nothing patriotic in your actions. So
right. So he was, and I'm looking now. I'm quoting, and this isn't the best source, but I'm just looking quickly. I'm quoting Wikipedia here. He was in the 80s accused of drug trafficking and implicated in the Iran-Contra affair.
Okay.
Claimed to be the party responsible for arms trafficking with Iran. I got my country wrong. Okay. And the payment of profits to the Contras. So it was not only, it was the Contras and Iran. And he was granted immunity in exchange for testifying to members of Congress.
So he retained his colonel benefits. And what rank was he?
It says here. Okay, he was a lieutenant colonel.
Colonel, a lieutenant colonel. Okay.
He was a lieutenant colonel. He dealt with the 83 bombings in Beirut. He helped with the invasion of Grenada, the mining of Nicaraguan ports.
So he was a light chicken. So he retired as a 05. So he's retired 05 in the United States Army, and that's pretty much he gets that quarter of that pay, whatever that is, and then he gets his analyst pay with Fox News. That's
crazy. That's crazy when you think about it. I mean, he testified to Congress, but whoever. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
But that was a Hail Mary. Imagine General Colin Powell going through that. He'd have been fried.
Exactly. So, and you never can say anything bad about. Listen, we maybe not agree politically. He was a Republican, but nobody has ever said anything bad about that man that I know.
General Colin Powell, even though he was a Republican, he was still at heart about democracy.
Yes.
He only, if you think about it, the Republican Party did give him, and by the Republican Party, I'm speaking of George Bush Sr. and Jr., gave him the first. He was the first Black Chief Joint of Staffs during wartime, and then he was the first Secretary of Defense, Black Secretary of Defense. So, what the honors that was bestowed on him. Was he Secretary of Defense or Treasurer?
I want to say Secretary, but I'm not exactly sure. I need to look that up.
Okay, let's look that one.
Let's look it up and see what exactly he was. I mean, but you know, there's been no scandal. I'm sure he handled a lot of sensitive information, right?
Yes, none on that man's part, and let him rest in peace. And he even spoke bravely against Trump. Like this dude is like, no, General Colin Powell. Now, Oliver North. He got slided because, think about it. You got caught with all this stuff and we're going to grant you immunity. So who going to grant you immunity? Ronald Reagan. Because it's going to go back to the top.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. All right, let's get to this next clip, everybody. I hope one of the things, I want to play this clip. I'm going to play one and then I'm going to go to another. Actually, I'm going to go to another. And the other one, y'all remember, okay? Hold on. Let's get to this.
We haven't got the country we had when I was raised. Not at all. So the things we did and the things we fought for and the boys that died for it, it's all gone down the drain. Our country's gone to hell in a handbasket. We haven't got the country we had when I was raised. Not at all. Nobody will have the fun I had. Nobody will have the opportunity I had. It's just not the same. That's not what our boys, that's not what they died for. It's just not it. Just takes me time to get over it. Because
this former president.
What's your favorite curse word?
I can't say it. It starts with an M and it ends with Not ER.
She said not ER. That's my first time. That's my first time hearing that clip. Surprisingly, I've never heard that clip
I watched the debate, and I saw her. She's an AKA, right?
Yeah, she is.
So my sister-in-law is an AKA.
Okay.
And I just saw her.
Yeah.
When I saw Kamala, and she said, "This."
Yep. I
already knew what was coming. I was sitting there.
You knew what was coming.
Yeah, I said, if you don't believe that this woman is black, something is wrong with your ass.
Listen, people believe it. It's like people believe the lies. Like, come on, y'all. Come on.
She
Okay.
don't know if she want to be black. She is Indian and Jamaican. Okay, that's her. So the Indian part is more ethnic than nationality, right?
Right.
From India, and then she is Jamaican by nationality of her father.
Right.
But she's born in America with her sister, so she's
Right.
American. She went to HBCU.
She went to Howard University,
Howard
right?
University.
Pledged.
AKA.
How black can you get?
How black? She represented the Bay Area to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
She tells you her favorite artist is coming up. E40, Too Short, people from the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see. She dated Montel Williams, the talk show host, when she was younger.
Okay, that's right. She did. I forgot about that.
So if you think about it, if all the black men was playing around and this white man is the one that says, hey, I want to get down and you're going to be my wife, I cannot blame her for doing that. I can't, because we're wasting her time. We're wasting her time. She gave us a chance.
Yeah.
She gave us black men a chance.
She did. I mean, her going to Howard, I'm sure she's dated plenty of black men at Howard. Come on. And I just think that these were all lies that, unfortunately, a lot of us believed. There were a lot of people repeating those talking points that you mentioned about her not being black, about her being, she's Jamaican, or she's, somehow her being, her heritage being her mom is Indian, right? And her father is Jamaican, that she's not black enough. We were the ones repeating those talking points.
Me, once I found out, she's a yachty, I said, okay. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Once I found out that's the connection, I'm like, wagwan. I said, wagwan, Kamala. Like, if I met Kamala, I would have code switched real fast.
Okay.
She and I would have been speaking patois.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Madame Vice President, right? And,
no, ain't no Madame Vice President. So wagwan, Madam. How are you doing, Kamala? You straight?
Right.
Yeah, man, some curry goats and some oxtail I cook on the store. What you want?
Right. Listen, she placed her order, okay?
She placed the order. I tell her, I say, yo, man, I have some beef patty also. All right, let's get back to this. So I know you say that was your first time. So what was your like what do you think about that as for her?
I mean, it's I just think that me personally, I think she just responded like a typical black woman would. It doesn't surprise me at all. I've never believed any other talk that she's not black or she's this or she's that. I think that her record speaks for itself in terms of who she overall, her whole life. Again, Howard University, AKA, like, come on now.
All right. Now, what is your thoughts on okay, so with all that being said, what is your thoughts on people who says she's not experienced enough and all this other stuff? Now, she has more public service time in the United States government than I do.
I think that's something that people love to say things like, DEI hires as a negative. They love to question our experience.
And she was elected.
Yeah, they love to question that. They love to say we aren't qualified. I'm always, if this is a talking point that sounds like something that Billy Joe Bob or, or Kyle or whatever name you want to use or Bob would use, I think we have to question that. When you look at, it's like, so Trump is qualified how? How is he qualified?
Because he was a celebrity apprentice.
Right. I mean, is that what we're using?
That's what they're using.
Is Trump University the barometer? What are we using as a barometer? Even when it came to with President Obama, people questioned him. He was a first-time state senator, right? But
he was a state senator, then national senator or whatever,
Yep.
you know, and
People,
then
yeah, people question it. People only question our credentials and expertise. I'm over it.
Because they want to push the finish line back.
They want to change the goalposts, right?
Yes.
They want to keep changing the rules. No, you come in, not you. No, we're not.
You only could change it for so long.
Yeah, this is true. But the rules keep changing. The rules, because think about in terms of education. It used to be, like you said, we were taught that getting your education, getting a degree or whatever, going, furthering your education was what you needed to do, whether that's school, a trade, or whatever it may be, right? All these black women are the most highly educated in the country by degrees, right?
Yes.
From universities. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 5 to 10 years, it's you don't need a degree. Well, you didn't tell us that, because we got these student loans to show.
When did it revert back to you don't need a degree?
it literally reverted back to, I don't know if college is really that important. Now, I'm not saying you should not do your homework, right? Because I do think at 18, most kids don't know what they want to do, right? And a lot of kids are going off to schools that are, you add in housing, it's really expensive to go to college. So I do think, it's doing it smartly. But I promise you, I've never seen nobody that looks like Karen or Ken ever say that education was not important until most recently.
All right. Before we move to the next one, I want to add to that statement. The reason why I believe they pushing back the educational goalposts is because Black people are becoming more and more educated, and we are becoming more and more dominant within certain industries. So to push it back to make you underqualified is to say, well, you don't need this. And they probably said it on the social media platforms that's going to spread these propaganda lies anyway. Your Facebook, your TikToks, and your Instagrams, where young Black people like to spend a lot of their time, let's just say delve, onto or into these sites all the time. So for them, the easiest way to give them misinformation is, you don't need a degree, you don't need this. You could just be a YouTuber or a TikTok or Instagrammer, and when you look at it, their consciousness goes down because the educational level is down. I'm not saying just because you're educated you'll be more conscious, because you got some jackasses who we're going to play we're going to play in a few. We got some jackasses that pretty much aren't different from the jackasses without the degree.
Right. We know that. We know the smartest people. Think about it. The smartest people I knew, I don't know about you, but like my grandparents were not. My grandfather had a 3rd grade education. When I tell you the level of smartness that he had, despite having a 3rd grade education in a sharecropper in the Deep South. We know our grandparents and great grandparents didn't have that formal education, but what they lacked in education, they had in street smarts and common sense, right?
Yes.
They wanted the opportunity to get the books, right? They did want that. Unfortunately, a lot of them did not get it.
My grandmother was born in 1913. Not my great grandmother, my grandmother.
Your grandmother.
Yes.
Okay.
So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. And she only had a 3rd grade education in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Not much was revealed about my grandfather. That's a whole nother story. But we know who he is. But as far as like education wise, that was never, taught to us.
Right.
But yeah, so let's get to the next clip.
Okay.
All right. This one, people, is going to make y'all laugh. They fucked around and they found out. Actually, no, let's not do them yet. These guys also did, but let's do what Malcolm X has always spoken about when it comes to the house Negro. Okay, and then let's make sure I have this clip ready on hand.
Speaker who used this music in his introduction for Florida Congressman.
And I'll be damned if you're going to have some school tell my boys that they can now be girls.
I have just one question for Florida Congressman Byron Donald, since you have thoughts about what you will or will not be told what to do or what not to do. How about being brought on stage immediately after a speaker who used this music in his introduction?
Oh, I wish I was
In case you can't quite make that out, that's Elvis Presley's take on Dixieland. Look away, look away, look away. All that old.
We just won Nevada. We just won. But, you know, she forgot one thing. She forgot one thing.
I'm gonna speed up
he
this
makes
next
money
one.
in Nevada. Lieutenant actually appointed you.
Y'all see this guy right here?
And think of it.
In the middle.
Appointed, and you're the senator of his state. And she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician.
Just so shucking and jiving.
All of that. What did he get out of that? What was the benefit? Is he in office?
Oh, let's go back. He walks up. He's just cheesing, and then
it's a show.
I just love.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician.
And yeah,
that's why he's a great
your
politician.
black ass ain't in office with me.
Exactly. He got nothing. Did he get a federal cabinet position?
Nothing.
He got nothing out of all that shucking and jiving and bootlicking.
Neither one of them.
Nothing.
But let's be clear. Let's look at this. Let's go this next one. Let's go.
I should say, there are some spots to fill.
Oof.
Now, to be clear, he has picked some diverse candidates to be part
like
of his
they
overall
minority
team and also in his cabinet.
I'm
But
looking
as of
real
now,
hard.
There's yet to be a Black American picked for a cabinet level.
Being nominated by you for your cabinet.
Not
that has been
for not nominating an African American.
Nope, I don't see no melanin.
No melanated. None.
I don't see not even a chocolate chip. I don't see nothing.
I don't even see the macadamia nut. No oatmeal raisin. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see nothing.
I just love you.
I mean, it's like where is your self-respect? You know, as a black man, where is your self-respect as a black person? But you know, history does teach us there will always be people who will. I call them Harriet would have shot them.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be careful. Harriet would have, powed them or left them behind, because we know that in every single organized movement of us, you know, whether it's Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, or countless rebellions in the U.S., any organized movement of us, there is always someone who will betray us.
Correct. Now, before people want to jump on this wagon of saying, Uncle Tom, jump off Uncle Tom. If you ever read the book or watched the movie, and there's a movie, Uncle Tom's Cabinet, Uncle Tom died at the hands of his master because he would not give up those who ran away. Uncle Tom was more braver than the field Negro who will give up their partner if they got caught. You know, so let's take that out of your vernacular and start saying Uncle Ruckus or Stephen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the one thing when we're talking about when we're not. And then Harriet Beecher Stowe, the little lady that started the war, as quoted by President Abraham Lincoln. So you're the little lady that started this big war because of the book Uncle Tom's Cabin and the brutality of slavery. Uncle Tom knew how to do math. He knew how to read. He did accounting for his master's books. That's how intelligent he was. And they allowed him to do that. When he was sold off from his family to another master, he faced some cruelty because they were jealous that he could read.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
He understood math.
That's amazing.
So, and even though it was a fictional character, just the fact that she was saying that black people have intelligence when you allow them to be intelligent. So, with this is a step back. Them two is a step back in black progress. I don't care what you say. They are a step back. They are the ones that Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals were speaking of when it came to treacherous, and they are basically our Judas.
They care nothing about us.
No, look like us and care nothing for us.
Yeah.
Would see my black ass in a ditch and would not stop to pull over to help me.
No.
But if it was a white man right next to me, that's when he would pull over. Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's who those two are.
Indeed.
This man told Donald Trump, who he knows is a racist, I just love you for votes. Okay. Now let's move on. Okay, so you got anything to say before we move on to the next one?
No, I think you're spot on. You're spot on there in your analysis, of course. I don't know what kind of lessons are going to be learned. I don't know if people even going to get the lesson. Okay, because you would think Tim Scott would figure it out, but he still hasn't.
Tim Scott is what people thought Carlton was.
Yes.
And Carlton is not. Remember in the episode of Fresh Prince when they wouldn't let Carlton into the fraternity because where he grew up, Carlton told him, I know I'm black. I know I grew up in this privileged life, but that doesn't stop me from being harassed just like you, da-da-da-da. So they thought Carlton was just this Tom Jones, it's unusual to be loved by anyone. They thought he was just this Tom Jones cornball, but in all reality, Carlton was cool. He just had his own coolness, you know?
Right.
Played by Alfonso Ribeiro, you know, and even he himself go through some other stuff that he goes through, and he's like, well, you know, he said something about black women or black people don't mess with me, and he made a post one time, maybe black people start messing with me because of this, and then people was like, it's about the women you're dating. The woman he dates has nothing to do with him as the person.
His wife, you mean his wife, right? His
yes.
wife, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's I think he's internalized some things because it's like he said that, you know, we're mad at him. He says number one, he was typecast, which I can definitely believe that. And then he says like we don't mess with him like that because of his wife. And it's like, no, Carlton, Alfonso, whatever you want to call yourself, that's not the reason why we don't mess with you. Like that ain't the reason. Trust me.
Tell us, because I don't know. I always thought of him as being a talented actor. He's a very talented performer.
Yeah, I don't doubt his talent, not at all. He's a talented performer, but I think that his reasoning behind why we don't, it's not that we don't mess with him, it's that he's never really endeared himself to the black community, like he never has, and he's kind of like, oh well, because I married this woman, this white woman, then that's why you guys don't like me, and it's like, no, that's not the reason why.
So like, when you say
maybe it's your personality, maybe you just might be a corny Negro.
So when you say the term endeared, what makes a person endeared to the black community, though?
I think it's people who we can kind of relate to, people who talk to us, we can relate to. I don't think that comment, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, right? Because it's like Carl, I'm just gonna call him Carlton, okay? I know his name is Alfonso. It's like, Carlton, nobody was really checking for you like that. Like it's all right. We know this is a role. We know this was your role on the show.
Very iconic.
And then he did the other thing with, what was the other show he
Dancing
did?
with the Stars. He did,
exactly.
And then he also did the thing with LL Cool J in the house.
It's like, Carlton, we was okay with you making your money. You don't have to talk slick about us because we know this is a role.
I think people took that comment a little bit too twisted. And the reason why I say that is because, and he probably said it a little too twisted too. We do fool with you. I'm gonna be honest. We do fool with you because Fresh Prince, and not because of In the House. His iconic role on the Fresh Prince is why we fool with him. We got so caught up in the Republican side of who his character was that we didn't look at the actor who performed with Michael Jackson, who's been doing a lot of roles since he was a kid. Now, unfortunately, when you start making more money than a grown-ass person, it puts you in a different demographic because idealistically, your living standards has changed. I'm not saying black people live below standards, but not a lot of black people are making six figures. So their communities are not going to be as large as him being around these white kids. And him, seeing these white kids, because it happened in my own family where, like I have my little cousins. They went to a different town, was predominantly white, and they started dating outside of the race.
Right.
And for me, I looked at it like I would never choose that path. That's just my personal decision. You
Right.
know, if I went to live in that town, I'm still seeking black. I went to Japan for the most part, still seeking black. I went, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
wherever I go, I prefer to see or seek a black woman. You know, I don't let my sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I don't let my area dictate who I date.
I don't know. I really thought about it. Like, okay, nobody was like Alfonso was always like in the middle. Like, we know these are roles that you play. You solidified your place in black culture just with Fresh Prince. It's almost like I don't need you to mess it up. Okay.
I see what you're saying.
Like, the more you're talking, the more you're messing it up.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like,
so
keep quiet.
Yeah,
just let us remember you as Carlton.
Exactly. Leave us with our memories. You don't have, and I hate to say that, but it's like, you don't have to talk.
If this ever come to us ears, Alfonso, our brother, we love you, we respect you. It has nothing to do with your wife. Okay? Hollywood typecasted you. We fuck with you. Don't say we don't fuck with you, because we want to definitely stop fucking with you.
I mean, his place is firm in the culture. It's entrenched in the culture, and I hate that comment. That one comment messed it up.
Danced toe to toe with Michael Jackson in a 30-second clip.
Exactly,
dude. Honestly, you don't have to worry about any about that. Just be you.
Come on now.
All right. So this last one, I'm gonna bring to the forefront before we go out. MAGA tears.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Ooh, let's
please stop. God, please
let's start from the beginning.
Please save me. Please save me, Donald. This is America. This is our land. Please, I'm asking you.
And I see the hashtag.
Y'all don't have a panic attack. Please save me. Please. This is our country. Our country. Dear God's name, please stop. God, please save us. Please.
Will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of energy. We're going to bring those prices way down. A vote for Trump means your groceries will be cheaper. Groceries, cars, everything. We're going to get the prices down. Starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again.
Woo! No. We are seeing some results, some outputs, just not the ones he promised.
I don't think enough people are talking about how mind-blowing the find out portion of the fuck around and find out era is for conservatives. Because what are they finding out? First, the welfare queen that they railed against for decades looks more like them than it does me. Second, red states would go bankrupt if it wasn't for the federal government and the generosity of larger democratic states. The third thing is by far my favorite and giving me just so much life in the last few weeks. The glue that holds MAGA together is that they all effectively hate the same people. Black people, brown people, gay people, immigrants, women. They effectively said, oh, you hate them? Me too. Let's form a club. And then they're surprised that the Nazis snuck in. That's their brand. What they're finding out now is that the people they put in charge don't see a difference between all the...
All right, so we just played a little bit of F around and find out season.
I mean, the level of tears are amazing to me. The level of white tears are amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. You vote against your own interests and now you're crying about it. And everybody's saying, yeah, black people try to warn y'all. Y'all don't want to listen to us. And honest to God truth, we spoke on it. And those who listened, and those who didn't, sorry for you.
They didn't listen. They thought it would not happen to them.
Yes.
So now you must feel. Right?
Yes, there's a saying: if you don't, what you don't hear, you'll feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, I need to turn off my phone and stuff like that when I'm recording. I apologize, everybody. But my ringtone is Don Dada from Supercat, the legendary Supercat. So,
oh wow.
But yeah, today's show. Thank you for joining us. We kind of made it different a little bit. You know what I'm saying? This has been very entertaining on our end. For those who came in, looked in, peeked in, gave us a like, we appreciate you. We'll definitely do a multi-stream in the near future. We're still working on the kinks on that. And what you got to say, Miss Mercer over there from Patty?
Nothing. Just thank you for the show. For all of our viewers, let us know what you think about the new show format, executive produced by
JG.
On the screen, right? This man on the screen.
Yeah, I just took some. For those of you who don't know, I used to produce and direct and host a TV show which was public access called IAMU Lounge. I'm sorry, that's the new joint. It's Hustle Hard TV. So that's where this experience comes from. And she kind of got me in this news journalist format, which I always expressed in my magazine, which was IAMU magazine, right? So I appreciate her for bringing this side of me back out, and it was fun.
You got two journalists working together, right? Myself, a former journalist, and you as well, a former journalist. Yes. Let's go. Come on now.
The crazy thing, you were formally trained, weren't you?
Well, yes, I was. I spent like almost 20 years in the news business in Detroit. So, Yep, business reporter, writer, editor.
I wasn't formally trained.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I still.
No, I'm saying I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't. But no, but you. So were you? So did you do when you did the show? Mm-hmm. Were you self-taught? Or did you go to broadcasting school?
No, none of that. I had to learn on. It was on the job. OTG. So what happened was I had some guys. So we got a few minutes.
Yeah, we got a few.
Okay, so what brought me into? Remember, I told y'all in high school I did drama club, right?
Okay,
and I wanted to do acting, and also in high school, what I didn't reveal was my senior year, I went into somewhat of a journalism by doing community broadcasting in Bloomfield, Connecticut, the BCTV, public access TV. So we were in the front and the back.
So that's your training. You can't say you weren't formally trained. You were formally trained.
But when you think formally trained, we talking about 4 or 5 years, So when I went to the military, I didn't touch nothing other than music.
I'm surprised you didn't do any of the military, because they have newspapers.
They have all of that, but I didn't score high. I didn't score high enough on the ASVAB to be qualified for that.
Okay.
So long story short, when I got out, I had, I was pursuing music hard, and then I was just like, you know what? Let me think about the business aspect of the whole entertainment industry. And there was a guy I used to work with. He was an intern, work study as like I was, and we got to talking. I said, my only experience was because he was going to school for this. I told him my only experience was the public access, but that was my only hosting experience, and all that stuff. And he was like, okay, so let's put something together for the artists. I said, all right, cool. And that's how Hustle Hard TV was born. We did a production at a spot, had some artists perform. That was the stage part of it, and then we did the interview part. It was called About to Blow, and About to Blow got changed to Hustle Hard TV because About to Blow magazine came out, and that had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
So when that magazine, and it was only one issue in Atlanta, so we just said, okay. Doing the research, we saw that it came out. I was like, damn. So we just said, okay, let's call it something else. One of the guys that was part of the production crew was like, Hustle Hard. It's like, okay, there you go. Hustle Hard TV. All right. And then we still had the same About to Blow format. And then, then they stepped off because it was like, public access, you can't advertise. You can't do certain things. So I'm explaining to them, guys, we were in the same class. We cannot advertise. We cannot slick advertise. The only thing we could do is a show at a live location and hope to God that we can make money off the door. We don't even get ratings. We don't even know how many people tuned into the show.
Right.
So when they left, we had a barrage of hosts, and I said, guys, I got us. we're gonna. If I got to step behind the camera, I step behind the camera, and that's what I did. And we kind of did preset on the cameras, and I learned how to work the switchboard in the back, and that was it. We'll produce a show in like 10 minutes. They come in for about an hour. If we got a guest, we kind of like talk to the guests while we setting up. They go over the questions. I say, y'all got them. They say, yep, we got them. Boom. We move forward. That part is done. I go editing, and it was analog type editing, so it took me hours at the studio to get the videos and the show and And then when the finished product would come out, I'm watching the show, and I'm like, wow, I did it. I had to pat my back, because I'm like, I did a good job for somebody that didn't have this kind of formal technical training like these guys did.
You're natural at it. You're natural.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, so that's where my experience come from. And then with the writing part, when you have a momty that is in news where she does the editing and stuff like that, it kind of helps you understand, your writing skills.
Yeah.
So I still want to act. But it's
okay.
It just has to be the right thing, the right time. And for me personally, I want to direct and produce what I act. So I don't want to. It's not about control thing, but it's like it has to be the right thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Look at you.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. Until next time, everybody. This is Today in Black America. All righty. Y'all have a good one. Let's see here.